ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Okay, any questions, clarifications on what we have done up to now? Today, yesterday, it was good to see all of you yesterday. So any clarifications, anything necessary on that? Or it's all clear? All clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then the next few verses, he is introducing Omkara in a very different manner. Let's see that. Okay. Because in the practice of yoga, very often the pranayamas, etc., you use certain mantras to regulate the pranayama. Okay. So that is what he is talking about here. श्वासश्चरन्ति यावन्तः मनुष्यस्य दिनं प्रति तावन्ति योजनानि अर्कः श्वासे श्वासे प्रधावति. Okay. He says श्वासश्चरन्ति यावन्तः मनुष्यस्य दिनं प्रति. In one day, okay, how many breaths a human being takes? Okay, yogis have done some calculation. We will see that later. Okay, they say 21,600 breaths in a day, 24-hour cycle. He says, Tavanti Yojani Arkam Shwasa Pradhavati. So many yojanas. Yojanas is about 6 miles or something. Okay. The sun moves. Now you calculate the path of the sun, divided by number of breaths, etc. You get some idea. Okay. Okay, it's just a statement made. Why? Because he wants to bring in the idea of the breath and a mantra. Okay? Because remember, all your energy work is dependent on your breathing. The whole idea of health is based on the how nicely your energies flow in your system. And the only way we can in the beginning gain some hold over that energy, over the systems of the prana in your body. Because remember, prana is an autonomous nervous system. It depends upon that. Because the prana should be happening without your conscious control. Your breathing should happen whether you are making an effort or not, isn't it? So your respiratory system should work without that. Your other pranas, digestion, circulation, etc., should happen whether you are conscious about it or not. Therefore, the prana is not under conscious mental control. Therefore, if you want to do something about the prana, all these energy systems that keep you alive, then you have to go through one thing that you can be very conscious of very easily, that is your breath. That's why pranayama is used to handle the energy system in your body. Okay, and pranarodhanat liyate manaha jala pakshavat rodha sadhanam. The prana is used to handle the mind, for which he gives an example, like how a net is used to capture a bird. You'll remember where it is from? Any of you remember where it is from?
Ramana Maharshi's Shatdarshan.
Yes, very correct. Ramana's work, yeah. Good, people are remembering everything. Acha, nice to see that. Yeah. So, this is where the whole thing is. Okay, therefore bringing in the breath and bringing in a mantra to regulate that breath. Okay, very nicely the whole thing, because the mantra will help you get the mind into control. Your Focus on breathing and changing those patterns will help you function at the physiological level, enhance the physiological. Bringing in the mantra, the mind also comes into the thing. Look at it, how he says here. Ekavimshati sahasram shatvam shwasa sankhya soham iti uchariti atma mantram pratyaham yushe. Ekavimshati sahasram shatvam shwasa sankhya. Shwasa sankhya, your breathing, number of breaths. What is that? 21,600. A number that the yogis have arrived at. Okay. And what is one of the mantras, many mantras, what is one mantra that is used to regulate that breath, etc.? The mantra is Soham. So, breathe out. Inhale with so, breathe out with hum. Inhale with so, breathe out with hum. Okay? And along with that, there are other things also to be done. Okay? Like tucking the tailbone in, pulling up your Mula Bandha, etc. So there are a lot of things to be done along with that. But this is the whole thing. It can be done sitting, it can be done standing also. Okay? I prefer the standing version because for me, standing is easier than sitting. Okay? Yeah. Therefore, Ekavimshati sahasram shatvam shwasa sankhya soham iti uchariti atma. The indwelling atma, he says, atma here is I, the sense of I, not atma as Sachidananda. Okay. Pratyaham mushe mantram. Ayushe, for the sake of long life, this mantra is chanted. In fact, if you are consciously chanting this mantra, one of the fringe benefits is prolongation of your life. Naturally, you live a long life if your energies are functioning well, if your physiological system is well, your internal health is good, your mind is functioning well. Yeah, naturally, you have a nice long life. Why long life? Because especially in today's modern living, nobody lives their full life. The full life for a person is supposed to be 125 years. Forget it, 100 years. Anybody lives like that? It becomes record if you have lived 100 years. Yeah. Why? Because we abuse our system. We abuse our system. Poor health, because systems are abused. Junk is put into the system. Stress in your mind. So junk in the body, junk in the mind. Therefore, your life gets shortened. So your full prarabdha of 100 years, nobody gains. Nobody gains it. Yeah, your prarabdha, an average, the lifespan in Kali Yuga is supposed to be 100 years, okay? Who gets 100 years? Nobody. Why? Because nobody pays attention to the energy system. Even I have seen people who go to the gym, exercise, etc., breathing, they don't pay attention to. I see some of the MMA matches sometimes, mixed martial art matches. There also breathing is so pathetic, though they should be good in their breathing. Why? Because their martial art is, the whole power comes from your breathing. But in those matches I see they're very poor in their breathing techniques. But if you did all that, practice yogasana regularly, practice your pranayama, japa dhyanam to take care of your mind, that's what is bringing in the mantra, Soham you are chanting, then long life is natural. A long healthy life is natural. But why do you want a long healthy life? So you can gain moksha in this lifetime itself. You have enough time to study and work on your nishtha. That's the idea. Enough time to study and work on your nishtha. Otherwise, why do you want a long life? Long life has got no meaning unless there is good health. For good health, you can do something about it. By prarabdha, you may still fall ill here and there. That's a different thing. That is prarabdha. You are supposed to go through that suffering. That nothing can be done about that except going through it. Okay? But the other part, your health you can take care of. All right. So, what is this mantra about? All right. Before he gives an explanation, he gives.
Swamiji,
Yeah.
I have a question, Swamiji.
Please ask.
This 21,600 breaths is for a layman or for a yogi?
Ordinary people. I'm sure for yogis it will be much less.
Yeah.
Yeah. For yogis it will be much less. This is for the ordinary people, the common man. Okay. Even that is a huge number, actually speaking. Even if you are taking, 10-12 breaths a minute, roughly, that's how they are calculating. Yeah. Anyway, that apart, what is this mantra Soham about? It's really speaking a Mahavakya. People remember the definition of a Mahavakya? What is a Mahavakya? Come on, somebody respond. What's a Mahavakya?
Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi.
You give me an example, I want the definition. Akhandartha bodhakam vakyam mahavakyam. Remember? Akhandartha bodhakam, a vakya which gives you knowledge of the indivisible whole, of one reality. A vakya that will talk about Jiveshwara Aikyam, the oneness between Jiva and Ishvara. That is a Mahavakya. Okay. So, in a Mahavakya, what is the relationship between the words? Just the arrangement of the words. What is it called? थोड़ा रिवाइज करना अच्छा है ना? What is the arrangement of words in a Mahavakya called? सब भूल गया लॉकडाउन में. Somebody respond. Huh? Samanadhikaranyam. Yes, the relationship between the words of a Mahavakya are called Samanadhikaranyam. What is anyone remembers the definition of Samanadhikaranyam? Okay, this is an advanced class. You can't forget all these things. These are basic. What is the definition? Okay, if you don't remember the Sanskrit words, tell me in English. What is it?
Swamiji, I remember only the example, the big blue fragrant lotus.
Okay, that's not bad. Yes.
But everything relates to the lotus. That's all.
Okay. All the words are defining one object. Correct. That's what it is. In Sanskrit it is Binna pravarti nimittanam padanam ekasmin bimbe tatparyam. Words each having their own meaning, all refer to one and the same entity. Binna pravarti nimittanam padanam. Padas which have binna meaning, different meanings, etc. Ekasmin bimbe, in one entity, tatparyam. Their intention is toward one thing alone. Now look at this sentence. Soham iti. Okay. There is a word which is not mentioned but which is understood. Like how sometimes certain sentences, a verb is understood. Similarly here, so aham asmi is understood. So aham asmi iti. Saha hi aham mi asmi. So aham asmi is understood. It's a mantra. It forms a part of the mantra that sannyasis are supposed to chant every day. Okay. It's not the whole mantra, it's part of that mantra. Mantra is big, which only is supposed to be revealed to a sannyasi. Okay? Because he has to chant it. So it's generally not really revealed to non-sannyasis because we don't want problems of vairagya coming into your life when you have to take care of so much of responsibilities. Okay. Therefore, Saha Aham Asmi. What do you think Saha refers to? What does Saha refer to? Huh? That means,
thou.
yeah. That without reference means generally will stand for Ishvara. Aham is for me, the Jiva. Therefore, Saha Aham Asmi iti. I am Ishvara. Oh, wow. Now, if the words are in Samanatikarnyam, the meaning of the word should have an adjectival relationship, isn't it? Like in big blue fragrant lotus, all the words are adjectives to lotus. So similarly here, in Saha Aham Asmi iti, they should have an adjectival relationship. That means Saha should be an adjective for Aham, or Aham should be an adjective for Saha. That means I should qualify Ishvara or Ishvara should qualify me. Is it possible? Big blue fragrant lotus is fine. Does Saha, I am Ishvara doesn't make any sense in the direct meaning? Yes or no?
No.
Be confident to say it. Don't be dull in a class. It's only 11:30 in the morning. Okay. Therefore, direct meaning is not tenable. If direct meaning is not tenable, what will you do? If the direct meaning is not tenable, what will you do? Okay, the class is deciding to keep quiet, I'll also keep quiet.
We use the.
Huh?
I don't know the Sanskrit words, but we do that Chandra Shakha Nyaya. We put
No.
towards it. So there are three things that
Nope.
is there.
Nope.
First is when.
Nope. Chandrashaka Nyaya does not come here.
We use Bhagatyaga Lakshana.
Yes.
There are three Lakshanas. So Jahat Lakshana, Ajahat Lakshana, and we cannot understand the meaning by that. So we take what is necessary and drop what is not there. So implied meaning we take, that is Bhagatyaga Lakshana.
Very good. We go by Lakshana implication. When the direct meaning of the words does not make sense, I am Ishvara. What do you control? Nothing. You can't even control yourself. That's why you are putting on weight in lockdown, because you can't control your tongue. You want to eat everything. Comfort eating happens. Therefore, what Ishvara are you telling? Ishvara is the one controller of everything. Doesn't make sense. If a sentence does not make sense, then you go for its implied meaning. Like somebody tells you, Saha, you are that. And where is he pointing? To a donkey. You don't say, how can I be a donkey? You get upset, you get angry. Why? Because you understood the implied meaning. That you are as dumb as a donkey. So you get angry. Why? Because you already understood all the implied meanings, etc. Therefore, if Saha Aham Asmi does not make sense, you will go for the implied meaning. Therefore, as Kavita said, there are three main implications, three types of implication. One is Jahal Lakshana, when the literal meaning of the word is given up, when the word itself is given up and an associated entity is brought in. Like somebody asked me, where do you stay? I say on 11th Road, Chambur. Swamiji, you can't be staying on the road. Yeah. So the word road is given up. What is associated? Meaning, no, I am not staying on the footpath of the road. I am staying on a building on that road. So an associated thing is brought up. The traditional example is Gangayam Goshaha, the village on the Ganga. On the Ganga water, how can you have a village? No, on the banks of the river. Associated meaning is, this is called Jahar Lakshana. Here, which word will you give up? Sa or Aham? If you give up, there is no meaning left. What is associated bring in? What is associated with Sa, the whole universe? What can you bring in? What is associated with me? My little samsara. So, that's included in the world. Therefore, you cannot bring in anything there. The second is Ajahar Lakshana. What is an example of Ajahar Lakshana? Where to clarify, you will add something. You will retain the word and add something. Okay. Array, someone comes in outside the class and says, hey, the dadi is talking too much. The beard is talking. How can the beard talk? You understand, the bearded man is talking. Koi Babaji baitha hai? Bearded man is talking. So here the word is not given up, but you add a word to make it sensible. This is called Ajahan Lakshana. Next time in the class when I ask it, be sure to remember all of it, okay? Ajahan Lakshana. Traditional example is, the red is running. How can red run? The red horse is running, red dog is running, whatever. Okay. So between Ishvara and Jiva, what another word are you going to bring in? Doesn't make sense. Therefore, you will use Jaha Jahan Lakshana, or otherwise known as Bhagatyaga Lakshana. How does Bhagatyaga Lakshana work between Ishvara and Jiva? Time for the class to take over. Come on, say something. Respond. What is given up? What is retained?
Can I try?
What is happening to the class today? Everyone is keeping quiet. Okay, yesterday Guru Purnima celebrations went too much over. Or after the celebration you had something too much? Yeah, try.
So, Swamiji, you understand that Ishvara is the Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam, that is the material cause and the intelligent cause of the world.
Mm.
And so everything that is here is Ishvara, is the manifestation of Ishvara, and therefore I am also the manifestation of Ishvara. So once you know that all that is here is a manifestation, and then you understand the content, that it has come from, everything has come from Nirguna Brahman. So the Saguna Brahman is ultimately the Nirguna Brahman, and you understand the nature of Nirguna Brahman, which is the.
Okay, for a new student, a good attempt. I want some of the older students to respond and clarify this further. Come on, clarify. Now Anusha send me a mail. Ishvaratvam and Jivatvam given up. Okay, that's correct. Back to the understanding of Ishvara. Ishvara is consciousness manifest through the whole universe, isn't it? Manifest as the whole universe. And the Jiva is the same consciousness manifest in a given Upadhi. Consciousness manifests in the totality, consciousness manifests in the individual. Okay. Now, the totality and the individual upadhis, are both mithya or not mithya? Because the moment you say manifestations, they become mithya. Because it is mithya, in your understanding you can give it up. And retained the consciousness that is manifest in the totality, and the consciousness manifests in the individual. There is only one consciousness. Therefore, Soham will be understood as I am that limitless consciousness. By giving up the literal meaning of I am Ishvara, giving up that. Why? Because the Ishvara's Upadhi, and my Upadhis are Mithya. Consciousness is Satyam, and there is only one consciousness. So the understanding is not I am Ishvara. The understanding is by that statement. Soham, it is statement, means I am that limitless consciousness. Lakshanaya, it means that I am that limitless consciousness. Ishvara and Jiva are used. Then why not directly say your limitless consciousness? Why bring in Ishvara into the picture? Come on guys, respond. Why, what is the necessity of bringing in Ishvara into the picture? Why not directly say your limitless consciousness?
You have to account for the world.
Huh?
You have to account for the Jagat.
In what way are you accounting for the Jagat by bringing in Ishvara?
The total manifestation.
That you already presented as Mithya. If you ignore Ishvara and you try to present without Ishvara, Sarvatma Bhava is difficult to have, because you have to show the unitary source for everything. The one single source for everything, the one that therefore pervades everything. Two things. The whole universe has come from Ishvara, and Ishvara pervades the whole universe. As existence consciousness, it pervades the whole universe. Only then, when you understand your consciousness, will you say, I am everything. I am that limitlessness. Otherwise, you will say, I am consciousness and still take yourself as limited. Therefore, this is how it accounts for Sarvatma Bhava. Because Matta Pravrti Bhutani Yena Sarvamidam Tatam, and I pervade the whole thing. That part of it is very important to understand. Because when you say negate, you think this is something that you have to discard. No, you can't discard it in that sense. Because you have to understand that it has come from Ishvara, and Ishvara pervades the whole thing. At the same time as consciousness independent of everything. And the world depends upon consciousness. Therefore, because the world is a dependent reality, it does not have the same degree of reality as consciousness. At the same time, it is accounted for because you have brought in the idea of Jagat Karanatvam. Therefore, when you say Ishvara, what you mean is Jagat Karanam. Consciousness manifests in everything. Therefore, it's only when you present it like this will the Sarvatma Bhava be clear. Otherwise, Sarvatma Bhava will not be there. Even after presentation, it takes a lot of time and effort for the people to get Sarvatma Bhava. But the system should not be wanting, the teaching should not be wanting, therefore it is presented with Ishvara. That if the students are struggling, that's a different matter. Yeah. They have to work on certain issues. That's fair enough. Is this clear? Everyone is taking a Mauna Vrat today. Or today is Purnima. There is no need for a Mauna Vratam. Clear or not clear?
Yes, Swami.
Clear, Swamiji.
Then say that. No? Why am I asking the questions? Not for fun. Okay. Therefore, Soham is a Mahavakya like Aham Brahmasmi, etc. Okay. Now this is the Vakya. Therefore, even though in the practice of pranayama it may be used to regulate breath, okay, that's because it's easy. Soham, it's easy. You can regulate it, you can speed it up, you can slow it down, all that you can do. So you have some control over the energies. Make it more slow if you want to, make it move fast if you want to. Okay. For contemplative purposes, you will move it slow. For martial purposes, you will make it move fast also. Both. And for both, you will absolutely still it also. Okay. When you are lost in the contemplation, you will still it. Therefore, all these things happen as part of the game, as part of the process of yoga and this thing. Okay. That is a different matter. But here we are trying to understand the whole meaning of the whole thing. Yeah. To understand the meaning of the whole thing. Therefore, Soham is Aham Brahmasmi iti. This much I hope is clear. Clear for everyone, na? So next class, I think I will ask first before I take the class. So don't join in late, okay? Now he is giving you, okay, another way of looking at the mantra. Okay? Another way of looking at the same mantra. What is that? Sakaram cha hakaram cha lopitva prajoyajet sandhim vai pura rupakhyam tathaso pranavo bhavet. Sakaram cha akaram cha soham. From the soham, sakara and hakara, sa and ha, lopitva, drop it, adarshanam lopa, drop that, and prajojayet, and then use that. So from saha, if you drop sa, what will remain? Aha. And from ham, if you drop the ha, what will remain? Sandhim va pura rupakhyam. From what is left behind, join them together. Aha and ham join together. You will get om. And you will get om. Because there are sandhi rules, saj, jusho, ruhu, etc. Therefore, who is there, all that things will come into the picture. Therefore, you will get om. So, hum will become om. So, o is left, hum. Ha is gone, om. You will get only om. Therefore, tata eso pranava bhavet. Therefore, that becomes the pranavaha omkaraha, he says. And what does omkara stand for? Come on guys, you should be able to say all this. What does omkara stand for?
Brahman. It's a sound symbol of Brahman.
Sound symbol of Brahman, the reality. Therefore, another way of negation, without going into all the details of it, he says, you drop these two, you will get omkara. Therefore, om is a mantra that is chanted. Okay. We have seen all that now. Have you seen all of you remember the details of om or don't remember the details? If nobody is going to respond other than Kavita, I think I'll stop the class here today. I am really getting cheesed off. Is anyone willing to respond or should I close the class here?
Swamiji, can you hear me? Swamiji, can you hear me?
Satish Bhai, we can hear you, but I think Swamiji cannot hear you.
Unless you unmute your phones, how can I hear you?
No, he's speaking softly, Swamiji.
Satish Bhai is not the only person here. There are so many. I counted 18 participants.
Yeah, Swamiji, can you hear me?
I think many are inaudible, including me. Why are you all inaudible? What's happening? Let me double check it by putting on a this thing. Yeah, my volume is turned on full. Can someone respond? Nobody seems to be responding. Sundar, is anyone responding? Can you type in the answer? Yeah, I know Mandukya Karika is full of description. So what does Omkara stand for? Okay, 3 avasthas. That's fine. What else? Yeah, but the basic thing is, if you are talking about waking dream and deep sleep, there is a 1-to-1 equation between waker and Virat, between dreamer Taijasa and Hiranyagarbha, between Prajna and Ishvara. Therefore, Omkara stands for both Saguna Brahman and Nirguna Brahman, right? Yeah. Therefore, that is what it is. Omkara stands for both Sagunam and Nirgunam. Sagunam is represented by Auma, right? And Nirgunam is represented by the silence. Yes, the silence before and after from which the sound comes. Therefore, the silence is indicative of Nirgunam, and the word, the alphabets, are indicative of Saguna. Therefore, what Omkara represents is the whole reality that you are dealing with. The whole reality is represented by Om. That is why he is reducing the mantra Soham into Om, because Om represents the whole reality. You are trying to make it as brief as possible. So, in one what you call word, in one alphabet, Om, you are covering the whole teaching. That means what? If you remember Om, you should remember the whole teaching that comes in. Because Mahavakya is summarizing the whole teaching into one sentence. That's what Mahavakya is about. Something you are supposed to be advanced class, therefore I have to talk it in these terms. Okay. Therefore, when you are talking about Omkara, you are actually talking about there's something wrong here, okay? Yeah. So when you are actually talking about the whole teaching is summed up in one sentence called the Mahavakya. Okay? And the whole Mahavakya is summed up in one sentence, one word, that is Omkaraha. So for Omkara, yeah? What is the question? Yeah? Yeah? Yeah, you can, because silence is the teaching. That's what it said, right? Maunam Vyakhyana. What is that silence? The reality that you are, exactly. Therefore, the silence there refers to the reality that you are. So that is what it is. Yeah. So it's perfectly fine. Therefore, many people misunderstand that Maunam Vyakhyanam is the teacher is keeping quiet and only indicating by the chin mudra that this is the truth. That's not true. Maunam eva Vyakhyanam, Maunam Vyakhyanam. Maunam, silence alone, was the teaching. What is that silence representing? Amatra Om. The Om without an alphabet, without a chant. And what is that? Pure consciousness. Therefore, the Satyam, the pure consciousness, Jnanam, is being revealed by the teacher. And that's exactly what Omkara is formed. The chanted Om is for Saguna Brahman. The silence from where the Om comes and into the silence which is resolved, like how we have seen in our meditation, etc. That is the Nirgunam Brahman. Brahman is always the same. World is manifest, world goes unmanifest. When the world is manifested, with respect to that, you will call Brahman Sagunam or Ishvara. When the world is unmanifest, you will call that entity pure Brahman, pure consciousness. Therefore, Ishvara is always there as pure consciousness. Without the world or with the world. It is not Ishvara that is manifest. This is again another misunderstanding many students of Vedanta have, that Ishvara is a manifestation. No. Ishvara is nothing but consciousness. Then why using Ishvara with Maya? Aupacharikam. Aupacharikam. Because of Maya, the world can manifest in Ishvara, in Brahman. In Brahman, because of Maya, the world is manifest. Therefore, because the world is manifest, to indicate that, you will use a term Saguna Brahman or Ishvara. Just to make people understand, we are talking now of Brahman and the manifested world, the apparently manifested world. There is no two. When the world is not there, Ishvara alone is there as Nirgunam Brahman. Therefore, Ishvara is always there. Sagunam, Nirgunam. Nirguna is pure consciousness. Saguna is, okay, there is an apparent world also manifest now. Consciousness is always the same, always there. Otherwise, how can you say Tattvamasi? How can you say Tattvamasi if consciousness is not always there? Are you getting the idea? Is it clear to people? Yeah, shoot. That is Japa Dhyanam. That's not Nitidhyasana. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. The silence is getting you back to yourself. Yeah. As a reality. Sundar was trying to say something. Oh, okay, okay. Thanks. Yeah, because see, I can't see all of you. I'm doing it on a phone, therefore there's no way I'm seeing all of you. So when I ask a question and nobody responds, I don't know what the hell whether people have understood or not understood. How do I know that? I have not yet become that wise that I can teach the walls. So I need people to respond. Yeah. Everyone is waiting for somebody else to respond. Pile up, pile up, pile up. Well, come on. Yeah. Or just one person is responding. Yeah, I need the silent majority to know. I want to know whether they understand or not. Otherwise, what is the point of continuing a class on Zoom? Close it down. As and when the lockdown gets lifted, we will see about it. Yeah. Because that is the problem that I am facing. Because I can't see all of you. Even if I shift around and try to see you all, most of you have your videos turned off for better connectivity. So how do I see it? How do I make out whether you are understanding me or not understanding me? So then that's why I am asking. So if people are keeping quiet and not responding, if you are not audible, check up the audio level in your phones. Turn it on. Make it more. Maybe it's your laptops. Maybe it's not turned on to the full power. Check all those things. I am not supposed to be the expert in these things. You all are. You all use it more than I do. So do that. Otherwise, how do I know? How do I continue teaching? We'll stop. I'm okay with that. So back to the base when you are saying, therefore, Omkara, Sureshwara here is reducing Soham, the mantra, the Mahavakya. Okay. Again, even though Soham is used to chant for breath, etc., that is a secondary use of the mantra. Okay. Understand this. This is a secondary use of the mantra. The primary use is for understanding. The Mahavakya, Akhandartha Bodhakam, it reveals to you the indivisible meaning. Therefore, you can use it for contemplation if you have understood enough. If you understood it enough. And now that here Sureshwara is reducing it to one word, Omkaraha. Now look at the process here. It's important to understand this also. The whole teaching is summed up in one Mahavakya. Therefore, if you have the Mahavakya with you, the whole teaching is there with you. Tek Tattvamasi, the Mahavakya. What is Tat, what is Tvam? In explaining what is Tat and what is Tvam, the whole teaching about Ishvara, there is Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam. Who are you? You are nothing but awareness. The whole thing comes into the picture. And then because of that Asi, that identity between the two, the completeness, that you are everything is also explained. Therefore, all a teacher requires is one sentence to bring in the whole nuances of the teaching. The whole nuance of the teaching can be brought in one sentence. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Soham, Kshetrajnam Chapi Mam Viddik Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. All these sentences like this can bring in the whole teaching. Then that is further reduced into one word, Omkara. Whole teaching is reduced to one word. That means what? If you have Om with you, the whole teaching is with you. From that word Om, you can bring in the whole teaching. Are you all getting this? Sure, or you require some more explanation? The reverse process. Yeah, the reverse process. Yes. Now look at it. Soham got reduced to Om. Om stands for both Saguna and Nirguna. So Nirguna, you understand pure consciousness. Then when you have to explain the other person is sitting in front of you. The other person is part of Saguna Brahman, manifested Om. Therefore, he is the Jiva. Therefore, what is Jivatvam? Therefore, how do you explain that the consciousness is now manifest as a Jiva? Therefore, again, body, mind, etc., all their explanation, Panchikaranam, etc., the whole teaching comes there, right there. In explaining what is the Jiva, in explaining the process of the creation, whatever paradigm you are using for the creation, the whole thing comes in. And then you reverse the thing and say, therefore everything has come from Om. It goes back into Om. Therefore all that is there is nothing but Omkara. That is pure consciousness. Can you see that? Or no? Yeah. So the whole teaching is there in that just that one word, Omkara. Therefore, what text does a Sampradaya with require to teach? No text. This is how masters sat under a tree and taught. Why? Om hai na. Bhoot ho gaya. One word you remember is enough. One Mahavakya you connect up with, enough. The whole teaching can be brought in. And how much you explain will depend upon how much the students require. So the text is used for the sake of the students so that they have some guidance available, some reference point available, some gradation of learning available. Okay, beginning you learn like this, then you learn like this, then you learn like that. Some gradations are available. It is more meant for that than for the teacher. A Sampradaya does not require a text. That's how the rishis taught. Sat under a tree, a student came and asked, and they taught. And whatever they taught became the Upanishads. Whatever the rishi taught became an Upanishad. Correct or not? The student went and asked the teacher, Kene shitam patati preshitam manaha patati. And he answered, and that became the whole Upanishad. There was just one dialogue, you are sitting under a tree and talking. Neither the teacher nor a student had a text. They carried it, everything inside. Can you see the phenomenal nature of the whole thing? How the whole thing evolved. Very beautiful to understand that. Very, very beautiful. The whole parampara evolved like that. Then from Kali Yuga onwards, it started being written down. After Vyasa's time, all that was written down. Then more people started adding scholarly texts, etc. That's a natural progression that happens in any discipline of knowledge, because the scholarliness is necessary for complicated minds to understand it. The more complicated your mind is, the more complicated the answers will have to be. Therefore, that thing came up. Okay. But I want all of you to do one thing. All of you think about how the whole teaching is summed up in one word, Tattvamasi, and how it has come down to Om. I want you all to think and write about it, all of you. Okay? All of you to think and write about it. It's a homework given, because this is the crux of the whole thing. The crux of the whole teaching. Otherwise, we will keep finishing text and people will remain in the same place. If you find you cannot write, record it on your phones. Okay? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Read, write, whatever, but I want all of you to do that. How I'll check it up, etc., we will see. We will see. Okay? But I want everyone to do this. Because We are at an advanced level of learning. We have been learning for about 12 years now. Learning for 12 years, that's a long time. Okay. Therefore, I need to be sure that your level of understanding matches that. Okay. Yeah. Therefore, I want to see your understanding. Huh? Beg your pardon? Yeah. How's reduced to Omkara? Yeah. 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 Even if you come up to Tattvamasi, I'll be happy. Mahavakya, I'll be happy with that. Yeah. Okay. So this is a good place to stop. Short class today. But good place to stop, because I want you all to think on this. Because if I go to the way he is looking at the Omkara through Shivagamaha, before he looks at it through Shivagamaha, I want you all to be clear about how Vedanta looks about it. Otherwise, both together you will get a big confusion in your mind. I don't want that confusion to come. That's why I'm asking you all to do this exercise. Okay? Yeah. How Omkara sums up the whole teaching. Even if you do that much. How Omkara is the summary of the whole teaching. How it stands for everything and how everything can be explained. Even if you make an attempt at that, you will understand that very well. And then, next class, I will go into how Shivagama looks about it. Once you do that exercise, it's very simple. How Shivagama looks at it is very simple. But if you are not clear about Omkara the way Vedanta looks at it, what is the next thing that will come will end up confusing you all totally. So I don't want to be confusing you all. Therefore, please do that exercise. Okay? So good place to stop. Any question, any further questions or clarification? If there are any questions or clarifications, please ask. All clear? Is the homework clear? Yeah. Please do that, because your understanding will depend upon that. Okay. Thank you. I enjoyed being with you all today and yesterday as well. So, yeah. It was a good program yesterday, good class today also. Yeah. I enjoy being with all of you. Thank you. Take care.